Right, good morning, Year 10s. We're going to be looking at the non-exam assessment, the NEA, and this is writing a justified specification, and that's number 5 in the YouTube tapes that we've been doing. Number 7 on the NEA app, justified specification. Okay, specification is an important summary of key points and issues identified for initial research analysis. Okay, so what we're doing is mapping out a list of criteria, okay, which your product should do, okay, from the research you've done, okay, and this is a really good kind of a benchmark for you to evaluate against at the end of your end of the project. Okay, you can use your own criteria, or you could use Access FM. And here's a list of the Access FM criteria that you might want to use. At the top is aesthetics. What does it look like? Cost. How much will it cost? Client. Who's your client? Okay. Environment. What are the environmental considerations? Safety. What are the safety aspects you're going to be considering? Size. How big will your product be? And function. Interesting one there. What will your product do? It could be multifunctional. Okay. And then manufacture. How will you make your product, or how do you anticipate making your project? In third column, you need to justify your evidence. So, if you need to decide what color your product is, you could say from surveys from my client, I've found out that they prefer a red writing desk to a blue one. Looking at cost, looking at existing products, see how much they cost, okay, and decide where your product is going to come into that market. Is it going to be a high cost product, or it's going to be a low cost product? Again, the client, you've identified the client. Okay, environmental considerations, again, very important to look at. And then safety as well, and size, how big is your product going to be? Function, what will you do? We discuss that. And what possible manufacturing processes will you use? Okay, moving on. I like to think of a specification as a skeleton. It marks out the boundaries of your product. Okay, so it gives you some peripherals. It's like the lines on a football pitch. Okay, so that you don't start making something that's too heavy for your client, or it's too expensive, or too big. Okay, so about your specification, as I said before, you can use Access FM as a list of criteria, or you can make another list of important things to consider. So you can do that either way. There are pros and cons. One, if you use Access FM, you know that you've got all the information. But two, if you use your own list of criteria, then you're adding your own spin on it. Okay, you can color code your specifications. So if you want to do everything that's about aesthetics, then you can color code it in red. Everything that's about cost, you can color code it in green. Everything that's about your client, you can color code it in purple. And that's a really good way of tying in how you present your information. Your specification can change, and you can document this by showing alterations in different color fonts again. So you can say, okay, I've reviewed my specification and I've changed it because of the information I've got, or because more likely feedback from my client. Okay, but that's a really good way of showing that you're documenting your work. Okay, you need to include measurables in your specification, and that should be something like my table will be 240 millimeters wide and 500 millimeters high, and that'll be based on research you've done about tables. Or my product will weigh 2 kilograms, and again, is that going to be too heavy for my client? Is it going to be too light? You should justify your information by referencing your research. Okay, so for example, from my research of existing products, I can see that my product should cost between £5 and £15. So you've looked at existing products and found out how much they will cost. Okay. You can also include hyperlinks to websites with relevant information on it. So if you find a really good website with that information on, then you can add that hyperlink so that the examiner can snap on that and see where you're getting the information from. You can also include needs and wants of your client. That's a really good way of accessing the higher band. Okay, having a look at those marks again. Okay, so we went on band B, and that's producing a design brief and specification. Looking down there, that's the 9 to 10 marks. So that one, that's at full marks there. Okay, and we've done the brief, and then we're looking at design, a comprehensive design specification with very high justification linking to the needs and wants of the user clients. Okay, fully informed subsequent design stages. Okay, so I always like to think belt and braces, if they want needs and wants, then put it in a text box there, and needs and wants to the client. Okay, and that's fully justified, so that's a lot of evidence that you've researched those criteria that you're putting down about your product. Moving on, we're looking at the circle here, and we've done most of it now. So we've done our analytical research for existing products, we've done the inspiration and mood board, and we're doing the justified specification today. So we're going to be moving on to the second circle, and I'll just show you that. Okay, so over the summer we're going to be doing quite a lot of sketching, or a set you sketching to do. Okay, and that's in the circle 2, design concept, and that's an initial large number of sketches and ideas. Okay, you can see from there, and then if you want to, you can move on to CAD as well. Right, okay, some important things we need to look at. As I said before, save all your work, get yourself a USB, and version 1, version 2, version 3. You never know, a bit of information that you might have disregarded before could be very important when you come to do your final folder. Keep all your drawings, okay, photograph them, put them into your folder, and then keep them in an envelope or put them in a drawer, or a folder, so that you can bring them to school and scan them in. Very, very important to show your development as a designer. Take your own pictures. Everybody's got a phone with camera on nowadays. It doesn't cost anything at all. Very easy to take your own pictures. Great way of collecting primary research. So if you're looking at a bird feeder or something like that, take a picture of that, email it to yourself, and then put it into your folder. And that's a good way of showing that you're collecting primary research. Do a questionnaire. Ask your client what taste they like about the product you're designing, and you can also update that. Go back and ask them again, and be sure that you document that. Okay. Check against the NEA app. Okay, so that's your working document, as I said before. There's lots of information, lots of links. If you're not quite sure about things, it will lead you to something else. Make your work original. Use different fonts and add different backgrounds. Okay, lots of different colors. Imagine this is a pitch that you're going to show to your client. Okay, so it's got to be as appealing as possible, and sell your product. Last but not least, add evaluation or conclusion to each sheet. Okay, so I usually tell students to just put insert text box. Okay, put evaluation or conclusion on there, onto each sheet, and as they go along, they just describe, say, on this sheet I've looked at existing products and I've evaluated them against my access of them. Again, another really good way of accessing those 20 marks at the bottom. Good. Right. Thank you very much. Please don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions, and look forward to seeing you next week. Okay.